Welcome back to Hydroponics Daily with me, Russell Sharp, the inventor of gold leaf fertilizer. And very pertinent to this is calcium and calcium deficiency when it comes to one-part feeds. So calcium is a secondary macronutrient, so needed in large volumes. It's essential for cell wall structure. If you made jam, you've added something called pectin to the jam to thicken it up. Calcium pectate is what's in cell walls that makes them rigid. And without them, you get soft tissue that's prone to disease, is weak, it's going to fall over, it's going to die off. And it's also needed for cell division. Calcium is needed for cell signaling and cell division, and so very important for new growth. So bear those two things in mind, because when it comes to deficiency, one of the first things you're going to see is not very nice, and that's necrotic tissues. Think frostbite on humans, black necrotic tissue. Worse still is it's in the young developing cells, the rapidly dividing cells, where it occurs first. So if this is your lettuce plant, expertly grown by me, drawn by me here, you'll get dead heart. Same with celery. The young tissues in the middle are going to die off. You're going to cut into your lettuce and you're just going to see blackness and death. If you're growing tomatoes, you'll get what's called blossom end rot. You'll see the same on chilies, anything in that family, aubergines, blossom end rot. Makes it completely unsaleable. You're not going to want to eat it. You might be able to make a chutney out of it by cutting off the dead material, but it's not nice. And actually, it's not normally due to a lack of calcium in most growing situations. It's normally due to a inconsistent water availability. And both of those three things are important. It's not just lack of water, because you could have a perfectly well-watered plant and the environment's too humid. And so the water's not moving up. It's not taking calcium with it in the xylem sap. Doesn't matter about the phloem sap that moves photosynthesates about, because calcium doesn't move in the phloem. Other nutrients do, calcium doesn't. So it needs that constant movement up through the roots. If the humidity's too high, the lights aren't on, it's too cold, you won't get enough movement of that sap. Equally, if there's a drought, if there's water deficits, severe water deficits, you're not going to get enough calcium coming through. Or if you're switching between, you're only watering them once a week, or you allow the soil or the growing media to completely dry out, even for just a day or two, it can result in blossom end rot the next week or a few weeks later, because that fruit was developing at the time when there was inconsistent water availability. If there's not enough air movement in the growing room, you can get calcium deficiency. If you've switched from high pressure sodiums to LEDs and in your lighting, and you've not taken into account the fact that there's not going to be as high a leaf temperature driving calcium up as the water evaporates, that can be an issue. So not a calcium availability issue, a calcium moving in the water issue. And then acidic soils, acidic growing mediums, calcium can drop out and you can get calcium deficiencies there, but far less common in hydroponics because we monitor our pH, almost daily. And then conventional one-part fertilizers. I've talked about this before. Gold leaf, or as it's known in the UK, liquid gold, is revolutionary because it contains calcium and phosphorus and all the other essential nutrients. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, we've got a fertilizer that's very similar. And you go, oh, have you? And we've been down this road many years and people have gone, okay, let's have a look at your label. Yeah, where's the calcium? Oh, well, it's got everything but calcium. It's like, yeah, that Ferrari's got everything but four wheels. But, you've got to have everything for it to be a usable one-part fertilizer. Otherwise, it's not a one-part. It's a two-part. And you'll have people who say, oh, ours contains calcium. You give it a shake and you can hear the calcium phosphate crystals in there. So that is a common symptom of deficiency. If you, as I say, there's a company, the biggest fertilizer company for home and gardens, they sell a one-part, and all the reviews on Amazon are terrible because there's sludge with calcium phosphate in the bottom. So calcium is a big issue. The main way to add calcium, if you want to add calcium on its own, is with a CalMag. That prevents you overdosing on the calcium and preventing issues with the calcium to magnesium ratio. You could add things like calcium nitrates, calcium You could add a bit of lime, calcium carbonate. What else could you add? Calcium sulfate, bit of gypsum. Not very soluble carbonate and sulfate though. So best to get yourself a formulated CalMag, or stick to a base nutrient that contains calcium, and control your water. Make sure it's consistent. I mean, one of the key skills in hydroponics. Hydroponics is a science and an art, and one of the arts, the skills is getting your watering right, getting your calcium levels right, making sure you don't waterlog your plants, but also making sure you don't get symptoms of calcium deficiency from just being too extreme. Okay, that's been Hydroponics Daily. If you think I've missed anything important about calcium, let me know. What else can we say about calcium? It's really good at driving out sodium from the root system if you've got salt stress and things like that. Yeah, it's a wonderful nutrient, one of my favourites. Thank you very much.